Assalamualaikum ladies and gentlemen. So yes, I know I didn't post yesterday, that is Sunday, because I was kind of busy. I know in quarantine we don't have any such busy schedule, but here I am with another mystery makeup video. So today's video is going to be a true story, and it's not going to be a true crime video. And this story is actually a story in which we can learn a lot from. And this story is actually narrated by a senior doctor in the ICU of a Lahore hospital. Now, I don't want to disclose any names of the doctor or the patients. Obviously, the patient's information is confidential. And you guys were missing the gudiyas behind me, so I thought of putting them there again. So let's begin with this story. Now, this is a true story about black magic, or a person who used to do black magic. Now there was a patient, and he had been admitted in the hospital for almost 3 to 4 months because this patient, he had a history of uncontrolled diarrhea, and he was comatose or unconscious since a couple of months. Now he was shifted into the ICU, and the senior most doctor there, he asked the junior doctors about all his history, whether he had diabetes or hypertension, and the kind of questions that doctors ask from the junior doctors. Now this patient's health, instead of getting better, his health was getting more and more deteriorated, and nobody could figure out why. So he was shifted in the ICU and he was put on a ventilator. Now, as I mentioned before, this patient had a history of uncontrolled diarrhea since a couple of months. So the doctors couldn't figure out why and what's going on. So this senior doctor in the ICU, he asked the junior doctors what's wrong and what was his medical history. And the junior doctors told him that he had no such history of diabetes or all those kind of illnesses that can get your immunity down. So the senior doctor advised to get him tested for AIDS, and the junior doctors informed him that he got tested for AIDS last year. He had diarrhea last year, and he was admitted in a hospital and he got tested for AIDS, but his test came back negative. But after 3 to 4 months, his diarrhea got better, and his health even got better. And then he got admitted for a similar reason this year, the year in which this doctor was telling the story. This time, his health not only got worse, but also he was shifted in the ICU and he was put on a ventilator. Now in the ICU here, Surah Rahman is played in the ICU. It's played on the speaker because it is a very powerful chapter in the Holy Quran, and it has been proven to improve the health of all the patients, who are critical. Sometimes it is also recited in the ICU, or most of the times it is played on the speakers. Now on the third day, since this patient was shifted in the ICU, something surprising happened, and the senior doctor got a call from the junior doctor, and he explained something really rather shocking. The junior doctor told the senior doctor that whenever Surah Rahman is played in the ICU, this patient, who was also comatose, or he was unconscious, maggots started to come out of his mouth and nose every time that Surah Rahman was played in the ICU. Now the most shocking part was that whenever Surah Rahman was, it got finished, the recitation finished, his maggots also disappeared, or they also stopped coming out of his mouth and nose. And also, let me point out that this patient, he had a tube in his windpipe because he was on a ventilatory support, and also he had a tube in his nose that also went through his nose, from his nose to the stomach. And the doctors couldn't figure out how are these maggots coming out of his nose and his mouth. So there's this machine, it's a machine that sucks all the secretions, or sometimes even the mucus that is stuck in our windpipe. So this sucker machine was used to pull out all these maggots, and they were put into a tray to as a proof to show the doctor. And the junior doctor told the senior doctor that this was first noticed by the nurses in the ICU, but obviously when he saw it with his own eyes, then he believed, and he immediately called the senior doctor. So the senior doctor, he said that maybe these maggots are coming from the stomach, and the junior doctor was like, no, these are not coming from the stomach. And then he suggested that maybe they're coming from the lungs, and the junior doctor was like, no, we checked, it's not even coming from the lungs. And then the senior doctor, he assumed that maybe these maggots are coming from the sinuses. Now, sinuses are air spaces in our skull that basically helps to make our skull a little bit lighter, and it has ventilatory function in our skull. So the doctor thought that maybe these maggots are coming from the sinuses. Sometimes when a diabetic patient also when his diabetes gets uncontrolled and he gets infections, so there are also incidences when the diabetics also get infested by insects on their wounds if they don't care for these wounds, or if they don't have a good hygienic condition. But obviously the junior doctors already told the senior doctor that no, he does not have a history of diabetes. So they were still waiting for his HIV test to come back, because the only explanation could be that maybe he has AIDS, and in AIDS your immunity gets so low that these kind of infestations can happen. So the next day, his wife, when she was informed about all these maggots and the condition of her husband, she blamed the hospital staff that they put maggots in her husband. And the hospital staff, they were like, excuse me, madam, if you wanted to put maggots in your husband, there are at least two other more patients in the ICU, and one of them is even paralyzed, and they don't even have bed sores. And if we wanted to put maggots, then the maggots would be in them, or they would get maggots because they were there for at least 5 to 6 months. So the wife, she calmed down and she was like, okay, then what could be the possible reason of maggots, these maggots appearing in my husband? And the doctor told her that he have sent his test for AIDS and that they were waiting for the test to come back. So until that time, you should pay for the medications and, all the treatment that he was going through. But obviously she was from a lower socioeconomic background, so she couldn't afford all these medications and the medical bills. So the doctor said that they started his treatment from the funds. Now, one of the nurse, she was a non-Muslim nurse, and she was the first to, realize and see what was happening. And she kind of counseled the wife. She said that whenever this prayer, she called Surah Rahman prayer, that whenever this prayer is recited or played, these maggots start coming out. So what could be the reason, and why is this happening? Now the next day, when the doctor was on his usual rounds in the ICU ward, the wife, she came to the doctor and she said that I want to talk to you about something. And then the doctor, he took her in a separate room, and then he asked her, okay, what's wrong? Now this wife, she was obviously scared that if her husband's AIDS test came back positive, then she is also, she also has a possibility of getting positive of AIDS. So obviously she was scared. And then when the doctor, he asked him, okay, what's wrong? What do you want to say? She told him everything. Okay, so she started her story by telling the doctor that her husband, he is a person who did black magic in the past. And the doctor was like, wait a minute, you told us that your husband drives a rickshaw. Then where did this black magic stuff come from? And she was like, well, yeah, he did drive a rickshaw for a while, but basically his job used to be that he was a black magician, or a person who does black magic. But the most shocking part was that she told the doctor that not only did he do black magic, but he did black magic using the Holy Quran. And at this point, the doctor, he, sort of laughed it off, and he was like, how can you do black magic with the Holy Quran? And she was like, believe me, he did that. So she started telling the doctor the story of how she met him, and when she was married to another man, that her first husband used to be, really, he wasn't in love with her or anything, and that her mother-in-law, she controlled her husband. So she wanted to seek the help of someone who, could cast a spell on her husband that would make her husband love her more. One of the neighbors told her about this person who, does all these kind of spells and all this magic that could, instantly turn your husband, or instantly it would make your husband fall in love with you. So obviously she was very excited. She got convinced that, okay, tell me about this person, I want to know him. So she said that that's when she knew about this person, her present husband, who did black magic. Now she said that as soon as she entered, his lair, or, wherever he does his black magic, it was really weird. She said that he had a big pillow, in which we call Gautaki in Urdu. She said he had this huge pillow, and there was like a statue on that pillow, and he would sit beside that statue, and he would, ask all the problems of the, from the people, that what are they going through, or why were they there, what kind of help they needed. So she said that as soon as she went to him and she told him that, I have this problem, and my mother-in-law is very controlling, and my husband doesn't love me enough, and I need you to do something about it, he would make her, or rather he would make all of his customers first recite some of the verses from the Holy Quran, and then he would ask them to prostrate towards that statue, and when they were prostrating, he would go behind that pillow and behind that statue, so in a way the people would, prostrate to him. Astaghfirullah. Anyways, then he would ask them all of these, sexual favors, and she said that he would ask them that in order for the magic to work, you have to do this, you have to do that. So he would ask them for sexual favors, and he would ask them to, sleep with him. And she also said that he also involved children and little boys and even, men in all of these things, and those who ever came to him for help, he would make them do all these things. And she also said that he would also make them eat their own feces, or all that kind of gross stuff. And before starting each spell or whatever he would do, he would ask them to go and perform ablution, go and do wuzu. And then when they would come back, he would recite all of the Quranic verses, but she said that he would mix up all the Quranic verses. So after the whole black magic process was done, she said that he gave them, some kind of ingredient to put inside the meals of the person they wanted to fall in love with them. And also, along with those ingredients, he would give them, I don't know, all the gross stuff along with it to put inside the meals. And he would guarantee that, this will work, and your husband or, whoever, they will fall in love with you. And also she said that she was really ashamed of, doing all that stuff, because she didn't know at the time she didn't know what she was doing was right or wrong. And then when all the black magic process was done and she came back to her husband, she said that instead of her husband falling in love with her, she said that he started beating her more, and he got more aggressive. So obviously she took refuge in this black magician's house or whatever, and she came back to him. She sought comfort in him. He took her in, and she sort of felt attracted to him, and she asked him that if we could get married or whatever. But the black magician, he said that oh, we're already married, because we already took an oath, or we already had our nikah by reading the verses from the Quran, or we had our nikah over the Quran, so stuff like that. He sort of believed that, okay, maybe I am nikahfied to this person now. But in reality, she was still not divorced from her first husband. So she had a nikah over a nikah. She started living with this black magician, and he said that he got his diarrhea and his health got deteriorated, and then he got admitted in the hospital. And when he got admitted in the hospital, he repented, and he said that I asked repentance from Allah, and I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do tawbah. And in the hospital, his health got better, and he said that, okay, I will now drive a rickshaw from now on, and whatever earnings I get from it, at least it will be halal, and we will just spend our life in that. And the wife, she said that, okay, it's okay, it's fine with me, I don't have any problem. So she said that he started driving the rickshaw, and at least for 6 months he drove the rickshaw. Anyways, it was until she said that a pretty girl came to him, her husband, and she asked him that I heard that you used to do these kind of magic and spells that would make a person fall in love with you. So I'm going through this problem. Will you please help me? And she said that my husband, instead of saying that no, I left that behind me and it's in the past, I don't do black magic anymore, she said that he started doing black magic again. And she said that at first I was against it and I asked him not to do it, but obviously he wouldn't listen because there was a lot of money in it. She said the money was good, and that's why he started doing this black magic all over again. So that was until he got sick again, and this time, instead of his health getting any better, his health was deteriorating now, and all the things I told you before, the maggots coming out, on the recitation of Surah Rahman. So this is what the wife told the doctor. Now this doctor, the senior doctor, he said that I'm telling you all this story in a very censored version. Maybe she told him a lot more stuff, but obviously he couldn't tell all of it. And then the doctor asked her, okay, then what about first husband? What happened to him? She said that he sent her to her first husband either to get a divorce or, just start living with him again. And she said she did. She went to her first husband, but her husband didn't accept her and he beat her up, and he said that I already divorced you and I don't have anything to do with you. That's when she said she came back, and when his health, when this black magician's health got better, she said that they went to a masjid and they got a proper nikah. The doctor, he kind of knew that she is now scared for her own health, and she asked the doctor, should I listen to the Surah Rahman also, and would this also happen to me? Why are these maggots coming out from my husband? And the doctor was like, I have no idea, and we are still waiting for the AIDS test to come back. She said, okay, should I listen to Surah Rahman also? And the doctor said, oh yeah, it's up to you, you can go and listen to Surah Rahman, it's no big deal, and you should also get tested for AIDS. So the doctor said that by this time, the patient, whenever Surah Rahman was recited or played, the maggots, they started even pouring out of his eyes this time too. And he said that the maggots didn't just come out, they didn't just come out one by one, or, just two or whatever. He said that they started pouring out from his mouth, from his nose, and now also his eyes. This is like a ibrat ki nishani for all of us, to be honest. But after that day, that patient expired, he passed away, and the wife, she didn't even come to claim his body. She said that, what will I do with his body, and I don't have anything to do with it. So that was the story about the man who did black magic and whatever happened to him on his deathbed. To be honest, when I heard this story, I had chills all over, because oh my god. And only the maggots came out when Surah Rahman was recited, and they just stopped when Surah Rahman was, done. Oh my god. So kids, don't indulge yourself in black magic. Don't go to any person who does black magic. Black magic is highly condemned in Islam. Speaking of which, in Surah Baqarah, ayat number 102, Allah Ta'ala tells us the story of Harut and Marut. The two angels who came on earth to basically teach black magic to people, but obviously they warned the people that don't learn this, don't learn magic from us. This is just a test from Allah. He wants to test your faith, and we are warning you beforehand, don't learn black magic from us. But obviously, those who were evil, those who had shaitan in their heart, they wanted to learn black magic. So I'm going to recite verse 101 and 102 from Surah Baqarah. Whenever there came to them a Rasul from Allah confirming their own holy book, a group from those to whom the holy book were given cast off the book of Allah behind their backs as if they knew nothing about it, and accepted what the shaitans falsely attributed to the kingdom of Suleiman. Not that Suleiman was an unbeliever, it was the shaitans who were the unbelievers. They taught witchcraft to the people, and that which was revealed to the two angels Harut and Marut in the city of Babylon. Yet these two angels never taught magic to anyone without saying, we have been sent to tempt you, do not renounce your faith. In spite of this warning, those people kept on learning from the angels, the magic of which could cause discord between husband and wife, although they could harm none with it except with Allah's permission. They learned indeed what harmed them and did not profit them, even though they knew fully well that the buyers of magic would have no share in the happiness of the hereafter. Surely they sold their souls for a bad price if they could understand it. And I must also remind the incident where a Jew cast a spell on our Holy Prophet ﷺ, and one of the companions actually found the comb with the hair of Hazur ﷺ in, and he took the comb out from a well, and when they showed our Rasul ﷺ, he recited Surah An-Nas and Surah Al-Falaq. And actually it is advised that if you suspect that witchcraft has been done on you, or if you think that you have been, you are under a spell or anything, you should recite, or rather we should recite Surah An-Nas and Surah Al-Falaq. And it is narrated by our Holy Prophet ﷺ that whoever eats 7 ajwa dates in the morning that person will be safe from all kinds of poison and magic on that day. So yeah, we're done with this video, and I hope you like this video, and I'm sorry for not posting on Sunday. I was kind of busy. Let me know what you guys think about this incident. And advance Eid Mubarak from my side, because maybe I might not be able to make a video on Eid, gosht dhona hota hai. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video, and inshallah we'll meet in another video. Allah Hafiz.